Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Joe Ellis, and tonight I am back to you guys with a big announcement, and then I want to talk about the photo essay tonight. So stay tuned. First, big announcement, guys. Olympus is sponsoring some YouTube live streams that I'm going to be doing over the next few months, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys live over the internet here and have you guys ask some questions. And our first stream is going to be this Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about Halloween photography, especially with low light autofocus and how to use, different tools for achieving focus in low light, and then maybe a little bit about live composite and flash as well. So please tune in, please ask questions. I would love to have you guys there, and we can talk about anything you guys that's on your mind, but that's my topic. I'll do a presentation on that, and I'll take questions from you guys. So that's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock right here on the channel, guys. I'll see you soon. Okay, so I was watching one of my photographic heroes the other night give a presentation on Creative Live, and it's David Allen Harvey of sort of National Geographic fame. And he was talking about how photography is the only international language that everyone speaks and, in essence, writes. And what he means is that while we have music and mathematics and things like that, not everybody can do those things. But everybody in the world today has probably seen a photograph, and most of us have also created photographs. But just like anyone can make a note on a or play a violin by making it make a noise, not everyone knows how to play. And so not many of us, that are out there watching tonight, or including myself, are like playwrights or poets or novelists, right, when it comes to writing. But if you really want to get better at photography, one of the things that you can do is you can learn to become a better writer, in essence. And one of the ways that I do that is by practicing the art of creating photo essays. And as a wedding photographer, that's pretty simple because I kind of deal with a very predefined story every week. But it also comes up in my personal life a lot as a parent when I'm covering things like birthday parties or vacations or Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, major holidays. And so before we kind of get to that part of the year, I thought it'd be fun to kind of deconstruct a photo essay, talk about some of the different parts, and hopefully give you guys some food for thought and things that you could do as a parent photographer over the next few months. Okay, so first up here, I also want to talk about one more concept that kind of revolves around that, and that is that one of the things I love about David Allen Harvey is that his photographic subjects are often just regular people. And so I feel like he really relates to what we go through as parents, in that he's just photographing the everyday. He doesn't need a beautiful mountain or a supermodel or a famous person to kind of do his work. He's working in and among real people all the time. And, I kind of resonate with that a lot as a parent photographer. And one of the things that's really important if you want to capture natural and authentic moments is that you need to have a camera at the ready all the time. And, most of us are out there, with our cell phones and taking pictures on the fly. And of course, it's always an option that we have sort of in our pocket. But, the ability to control your exposure and change your focal length and, even have a flash that does different things. All those things kind of require a more dedicated camera. And so I really encourage parents to have what I would call an everyday carry. An everyday carry camera is the one that's in the house, that's always sort of preset and ready to go. It's a camera that's ready to rock at a moment's notice. And the one that I've been using for that over the last number of weeks is this little Olympus Pen F. And I love this camera. It's so beautiful as an object that you love carrying it around all the time. It's very small, very discreet, has every bell and whistle that you could possibly imagine on it. I love to set it up like an aperture priority with auto ISO and just use the dedicated exposure compensation dial to do my exposures. And then on the front of this camera is a little dial that you can change different color modes, with the most important one for me being black and white, because I love black and white photography. So just a little flick of the dial and you are in black and white mode. And so I love this camera. I carry it with me everywhere I go now. And, just talking quickly about lens choices for everyday carry cameras. There's a couple different ways that you can go, I think, that make a lot of sense. If you shoot a lot of pictures with your cell phone, you already kind of have a moderate wide angle lens that you're sort of working with, a moderate wide angle field of view. So it makes sense to carry for a dedicated camera something that's slightly more telephoto. And so I think that the three lenses that first come to mind are things like 17, 12, 25 and 45. Those are kind of in the realm of things that I use all the time. And I have all those lenses in my bag if I need them. And so for me, when I was kind of thinking about which one would make the most sense sort of as a general all-rounder, the two that kind of jump out at me are the 17 and the 25. The 17 is really wonderful at kind of giving you spatial relationships. It can do foreground and background really well. It can give you more of a scene setter a little bit more easily. But it's not quite as good at creating separation if you're doing portraits or maybe even doing close-ups, because you have to get so much closer to your subject. So for me, the lens that I've been using sort of 99% of the time on my Pen F is the 25mm 1.8. The two of them make a really beautiful pair, and it's just a wonderful, discreet, quiet, fun to use, beautiful tool to kind of have at your disposal. And so this kind of lives in my kitchen, and it's always ready to go, it's always ready when I turn it on. And that way, if there is something great going on in the backyard or in the living room or wherever it might happen, and anytime I run out the door, I have that camera at my disposal. And so if you want to create beautiful documentary moments, this is a wonderful, wonderful tool. Now, I will say as a caveat to that I feel like the Pen F is it's not like the most well-rounded camera in the Olympus lineup. If you're going to shoot action, you're going to shoot sports, or if you're going to shoot video, the Pen F is not as strong as some of the other options that you have in the Olympus lineup. If you already have an EM5 Mark II or an EM1 Mark II, the Pen F makes an awesome companion camera. So you got to kind of think about what your needs are. If you like small, discreet, decisive moment, and you love the sort of rangefinder style of this camera, then the Pen F is a perfect tool. It creates beautiful photographs that have a ton of resolution. This is a 20 megapixel camera, and it does it in a very fast and elegant way. But if you're into like tracking things that are moving, or you're into sports, or you want to shoot video where you have an audio and headphone jacks, then you're going to want either an EM5 Mark II or an EM1 Mark II. So that being said, okay, so let's get into talking about the photo essay. So here are the different parts of a photo essay. These are just really basic, broad terms. First of all, a photo essay can be divided into two different camps. Okay, there's two different types. There's a narrative photo essay, and then there's a thematic photo essay. I'll be concentrating on the narrative photo essay because that's the one that I kind of fall into most often. But narrative photo essays follow a person or event for a set amount of time, and they're usually done chronologically. And so it would be things like birthday parties or weddings or vacations, things like that, where you're kind of, the arc of the story has to do with the amount of time that you're sort of watching your subject. Now, a thematic photo essay is something more broad. It's something like winter or childhood or something like that, where you can revisit something over multiple different occasions and maybe assemble different photos that are of the same thing but in a different time and space. So narrative photo essays, like a wedding, is like an absolutely cliche version of a narrative photo essay. And I love photographing weddings, and each one is unique. But there are some photographs that you're looking for all the time, and they're ones that kind of help progress the story, especially when you're putting together an album, which is something I do all the time. I'm designing books and putting sequencing photos together. So the first picture that you need to worry about in a photo essay is the opener, right? It's the photo that you're saying is a statement picture that says, I want you guys to see what I've done, and this is supposed to lead us into the story and be strong enough that people are interested in doing that. So that can be a lot of different things, but I'll show you an example in a minute. Another really important picture in a photo essay is a scene setter, okay? And so I have to do this for each scene that I kind of go into at the wedding. Like if the girls are getting ready in a certain place, I got to do that, and then I've got to do the wedding ceremony overall. I've got to do the reception overall, and each of those kinds of pictures kind of helps paint a picture of where we're going to be and what's going to be happening. Now, they don't always have to be like one gigantic picture of a building or of a space. Like, for example, if you were to walk around a wedding reception, you could take pictures of florals and plates and cakes and invitations and menus and yada, 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 and assemble all of those pictures together, and those could each be considered a scene setter that kind of helps tell the story. So the third thing is a portrait, okay? And a portrait can be both candid or posed, but it's supposed to kind of help us understand the person more, maybe convey some emotion, maybe give us some empathy for the person that we're kind of following or dealing with. So, I'll show you some of the ones that I did at this wedding, but these could literally be anything that you want them to be. But it does isolate it to a single person, kind of one of the characters in your story. And like I said, it could be a posed thing, could be lit, could be a million different things, or it could be totally candid. Okay. The fourth part of a photo essay is like details and close-ups. And so I talked about those reception pictures, and those can be the same kind of thing. But look for little things that kind of help edge the story along and tell more about the person or more about the people that you're covering. So at a wedding, this could be the wedding dress, it could be the bouquet, it could be makeup, it could be, like I said, it could be invitations, it could be rings, it could be a million different things. But all those little pieces kind of add up to telling us more about this particular story. Okay, and then the next one is the signature photo. And the signature photo has got to be the one that really is the quintessential moment that you're trying to say, this is what happened here. Now, you would love this to be the strongest photo that you take on the day, but it needs to be the most storytelling picture that you have. It needs to be the one that's like, when you read it visually, you're like, oh, I get what's happening here. I know what happened. This is the ultimate moment that you've captured for the day. So if this is a birthday party, maybe this is the moment where they're all huddled around the cake and he's just about to blow out the candle. That kind of tells the story of exactly what happened that day, who it was, what happened, and so on and so forth. If it's a wedding, maybe it's the moment they kissed, or maybe as they're walking out of the church, because it shows the crowd and it shows them and their happiness, and kind of everyone who looks at it will go, I know what happened there. And then the last one that's the kind of a basic tenet of a photo essay is your closing picture. And so hopefully this is a very emotional picture. This is something that just sort of wraps up the story and gives us a great ending to what we're looking at. So let's kind of dive into a few photos from a recent wedding that I did and see how these pieces kind of play out in these pictures that I talked about. Okay, so an opening photograph. My opening photo for this particular wedding is this image here. And I love this picture because of the symmetry. I love it for the fact that he's leading her. So it's sort of like it's giving us some motion, like we're leading ourselves into the story. And I like the perspective. I had the EM1 Mark II kind of around my ankles because I was leaning over, trying to get a really low perspective to kind of give us some more drama. So, every photo that you put in your photo essay, you've also got to worry about great composition. You can't just take a photo of something and say, oh, that's my scene setter. That's, click, and it's done and over. Think about what you're doing. Add in leading lines, add in framing, add in perspective, add in foreground, background. There's a million different ways that you can kind of make your photographs interesting. It's just that these sort of core tenets are the basic parts of that story. So this is my opener. Okay, so this image here is obviously a detail image. I've got some nice strong diagonals in this picture. Of course, it's a macro, so we're getting that beautiful close-up and detail there. And it's also imparting some information because it's imparting some names to us. Okay, so portraits. At weddings, of course, we do lots of group portraits. I really love this portrait because it does tell the story of where we were. Because we were in Colorado, I needed to include the mountains and the beautiful day and also just have fun with the composition. Of course, here we've got, pretty dramatic, maybe even a little bit further than rule of thirds is happening here. But I love it, and I think it kind of gives us a great deal of context while also functioning as a fun group photograph. So just the flip side with the girls. Up here, of course, I'm including the dresses and the detail of the flowers and all that kind of good stuff, but it's the same kind of deal. Okay, so this is almost a scene setter as well as being a group picture. So in this image, we're not only working with posing and trying to come up with something interesting for this large of a group, but we're also, telling people more about the beautiful big sky of Colorado and the golden fields and the feeling of fall, and really kind of imparting some of that into this picture as well. Okay, so this is a real basic portrait of just the two of them and their puppy, and I think this is a gorgeous picture, has gorgeous light. Again, it's giving us great context as to where we were. We have a beautiful leading line coming in from the fence, beautiful backlighting, kind of looking ethereal, and of course they're happy, and this is like a great day, a perfect day for them. Okay, so this is a real decisive moment kind of picture. This is like a moment when your dad is walking down the aisle right before you get married, and this is a really important picture to get at every wedding or some version of it. And I love their expressions here in this moment, is just as they hit the end of the aisle. Again, we're seeing some leading lines here and some foreground, background, and hoping that we captured a nice moment. Okay, so here is a real basic scene setter of our wedding. And so we do have some nice leading lines of the pews up to the couple, some nice symmetry in this picture. It's basic, it's pretty easy to take this particular picture. And if you can add more to it, if you can do something more compositionally with it, then I would totally do that. Okay, so this might be the ultimate moment at the wedding. It might be the one that reads, "We just got married," the easiest. But I think maybe this picture is our clincher picture. This is our signature photo, because this is telling a little bit more story. It's saying where we were. It's saying what happened. It's that moment when they are the most happy because they've just married and they're walking back up the aisle. Again, we have nice leading lines here, good composition, a good separation of the couple right there. And it's a fun and interesting picture. So, either one could be kind of depending on what's going on. It could be, I have another photo of them as they reach the end of the aisle and they grab one another and kiss each other. That might be it for you. And this is totally up to your discretion, but there needs to be that picture that is the most sort of informative, ultimate moment at whatever event you're doing. Okay, so another scene setter here. So, this could be a detail photo or it could be a scene setter. It's just showing where we were, and I have to do this for every space that becomes a major player at a wedding. Details again, flowers and cakes and yada, yada, yada. First dance, again, I'm really trying for that ultimate moment here. And this moment where I picked her up and spun her around was kind of the best part of the first dance. So I felt like that was the best moment that we had of the first dance. A party picture, just as the end of the night. Again, this is just really important to them as part of their story. And so it wasn't as kind of a top moment. So at the end of the night, this couple did like a private last dance, and I love these moments, and I love kind of the way that the room feels like it's just them. And so, it's sort of like their start of their journey together. Their party is over, and they're a couple now, a unit now, a newly married family. So, that sort of feeling in that moment is what I like. And then, of course, as they're running out, and that moment when their friends and family are all wishing them well is definitely a great closer image that's sort of, hand built from weddings. So, that's not like the be all end all of anything, but it's a wonderful story. It's a great framework to think about. And, I'll let you guys in on a secret, even it's not a secret, but as a parent, it's interesting to me because when I am covering family events, my sort of need to kick back and not be taking photographs oftentimes makes me miss some stuff that I need to make a whole essay. I'll wind up with bits and pieces of an essay, but not the whole thing. And I think that it's interesting to kind of think about that as we head into this holiday season, because there are definitely some times when I wish I would push myself a little bit harder to kind of capture a few more of those things. And it really makes for a wonderful, wonderful archive of images if you can attempt at your best to give yourself everything you need to kind of tell a complete story, and not have every photograph that you come home with be kind of just portrait, or maybe one action shot and then a bunch of portraits. Push yourself, if you can, to try a bunch of different stuff and to come back with an opening image and a signature image and details and scene setters and portraits. Because if you do that, I promise you, you will have a much richer archive of pictures from your family. So that's all I've got tonight, guys. Hopefully we'll talk about this in the comments. I love photo essays. I love photography from a documentary perspective. So let's go there. Let's talk about it. Let's work on it. And hopefully this was some help in thinking and jogging your mind for what's to come in the upcoming holidays. Please, 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 I'm going to show you guys a couple of photos here. Join me on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Here's a couple photos I took of my son in his costume for this year. We're going to do a little bit of this live composite stuff. We're going to talk about low light pictures of kids trick-or-treating and kind of how to deal with focusing on those things. and how to balance, like ambient light in the background, and what you have in the foreground. Not get those super dark pictures that everyone gets where they have too much flash on a picture. And then again, we can talk about portraits and just some ideas and things that you can do on Halloween evening with the kids you have in your family, making sure you document these moments in their lives. So that's Tuesday, 7 o'clock live stream. Please ask questions, and we'll see you there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.